just a good old boy.
Alright, y'all, I've got my new screen put in here with the mount. What it is, it's kind of like an iPad, but it's a Samsung one I had. I've got it in here. I can put my iPad in here too, but it's just a tablet. And then the Bluetooth piece that's in here is down here. It connects to those cameras. This one's actually coming off and going to be put onto the Coons accumulator later this year, but the one that's on my baler is going to stay on it. I'm going to hook it into this Bluetooth antenna, then it connects to my my tablet, and then I have a screen up here. It's no longer going to be down here. As y'all may remember, the reason why I said I was going to do this was because if I'd had to buy a whole nother screen to go with that camera, it was going to cost me $100+ more than just doing it like this and just taking my old one and putting it into the McCormick that we square bell with. And then I can have basically two setups for $50 versus, I think is what I paid for that thing, $50, versus spending a couple hundred more dollars to get another setup just like I had in here. So this is what I've got rigged up. All right, let's get started. We're putting down weed killer today. I get asked all the time, what are you spraying? I'm spraying weed killer on these hay fields for quality feed hay, to sell and for our own cattle. Most of our real good hay gets sold. I've gotten a lot of questions. What am I spraying? I'm spraying weed killer. If you're not in ag-related stuff, it's to kill the weeds, to make the best quality crop possible for the animal, to get the most out of the crop as possible. If I did not spray, it would have thorns in it. People wouldn't buy it. The animals wouldn't want to eat it. It would just be a absolute mess. The ground would not yield probably a quarter of what it yields. And I would go broke. They wouldn't be in business very long. I don't know what it is here. I know I've talked to other people that say that they don't really or ever have really sprayed a whole lot of anything in certain places, but here I reckon it's the weed capital because everything grows here. Of course, years ago we got a lot of this stuff we have now. We didn't used to have all the weeds we have. My dad's told me this many times when he was growing up. They didn't have near the weeds that we have now, and nobody sprayed or anything for the most part. There was some that did, but not many. They just bush hogged it, and the grass would get thick enough it'd kill most of it out. A lot of the weeds we have today were brought in here from out the Midwest. We had a bad drought, I think, for a couple years there in a row, and there was a lot of hay shipped in here from out there, and it brought all their weeds and a lot of the stuff that they had in here. And now we have just about every kind of weed. It amazes me sometimes some of the stuff I see in weeds. There's so many different kinds, but the biggest ones we have is what we call red briars. They're briar, it's got a red stem on them. Then we have thistle, chickweed, ragweed, and there's a few others, but they're not near as common as those. Yellow flower weeds, what we call them. The weeds that's got the little yellow flowers on them. Those are bad in the pastures. That's the most common ones that you see, but I've seen just about everything at some point or another. And we have those, and then we'll have natural, what we call rose bushes or running briars. They're not like blackberry briars or nothing like that. They're more like a bushy briar. We have those on certain, I don't have them in my hay fields, but some of the cow farms we have them on them, and I don't know why. It it's that way. Just certain pieces of property will have it, and then others won't. So I don't know. One thing that's been a real evasive problem for us, it's not really a weed. It's just kind of took over and kind of drowned out all our other grass that we have in the spring. Well, two things is Johnson grass and ryegrass, or the I call it perennial ryegrass. It's the ryegrass that they mix into the grass seed when the construction guys are trying to get fescue started, and they'll mix rye in with it to get it started growing. That stuff has multiplied, and it just grows everywhere here. A lot of that is due to the fact that Johnson grass has killed out the fescue. We used to have a lot of what we call moody grass, but really what it is it's a form of natural Bermuda that we have. We used to have a lot of that. I remember it when I was a kid. It made some good hay, and it's kind of starting to dwindle out. You don't never really see it anymore. Johnson grass has really done us a lot of harm here. I mean, it's choked out. It chokes out the fescue, and then the ground cannot, or it will just die out. And then in the springtime, all the grasses like orchard grass and fescue that are normally there have been choked out to death by Johnson grass. So then you have all these other grasses that are not the best in the world come in, like the ryegrass I'm talking about. Another thing is crabgrass. We have a lot of crabgrass, which I don't mind the crabgrass as much. It actually makes some pretty dang good hay. I know a lot of people think I'm crazy by saying that. That probably aren't around it or just deal with it in like a yard or something. But it actually makes some good hay. It's got a lot of protein and fibers and stuff to it. But the biggest issue with crabgrass is getting it cured and getting the stuff to maintain its color is the biggest issue we have. It will grow right in with our Bermuda that we have here that kind of comes up naturally, but it will it mix with it, but it's hard to get to cure properly. If you can get it to cure right, customers love it, but man, it's one of the hardest things to get to cure that we deal with, and it's aggravating. There's tricks to it and traits, things that I've learned to do that you can do, but once it gets so late in the year, it gets really difficult just to get it to dry down. I mean, you've just got to beat it to death with a tatter. And it's just, I don't know. A lot of people probably wonder why y'all ted so much hay. Well, our humidity here is so high, we have to. Here in the South, everybody has tedders. I mean, I kind of was shocked when I first got on YouTube and I learned that a lot of the people that's further north here don't even have tedders. They never used them, thought they were a waste of time and money. Here we have to have them. If we don't use them, it takes forever to get your hay to dry down because of our humidity levels that we deal with. So that was always something that blew my mind, that nobody else used tedders like we do here, because everybody has one. If you're in the hay business, you've got a tedder. You've got to have one. And I don't know if anybody's ever wondered why so many people, seems like further south, has tedders. It's because of the humidity. The hay just holds moisture, and you have to have it. Same thing, I ain't gonna be able to do that. Same thing with conditioners. If you're in the quality hay business, you've got to have pretty well. You can do without one, but if you're planning on making any quality hay and keeping color in it at all in the early spring and in the fall, kind of summerish fall, probably after August on, you need a conditioner to condition hay in order to get that dry down time in there quicker, to keep your color in your hay. Otherwise it'll just turn brown and people don't want it. But it's very we have a lot of issues. A lot of people have a lot of different issues where they live, but I mean, it's just wherever you're at. Everybody's got different stuff they have to deal with, but that's some of the things that we deal with on a regular basis. But we have to have tethers. I have to spray, and some of the grasses that we deal with, we cannot. Probably a lot of people probably wonder too. Another thing, if you're in the South baling hay, you know this, but it's hard to get alfalfa to grow here. I'm actually in one of the best areas in Georgia to grow alfalfa, and it's still just a pain in the rear end to grow it here. The heat just it kills it. I mean, it just won't go. We live right here on the mountain base of the mountains, and here in North Georgia, and we're kind of in probably north of here, and right in here is about, you can grow it. The best it was grown in the state, I think, or third best in the state, was grown right here in this county several years ago when somebody around here grew it. But I mean, they just don't it just don't do good, and that's why we don't use a lot of alfalfa. And two, nobody around here is in the dairy business anymore, and if you have to pay to feed alfalfa to cows in the beef industry, at least here anyway, and all it costs just to grow it, you're gonna go broke. It's not profitable to do so. I don't know if anybody's been wondering that, but thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, subscribe. See you next time.